computer. Okay, we're being recorded. Okay, so everything covered in this workshop can be found on this library quick start guide. How we got there was on the library's website. I clicked research guides and research tools, and then library quick start right here. Okay, let's start with search strategy. On this page is a step-by-step guide on how to develop your search strategy, because I would recommend that you take some time to do this first rather than just jump right into library search or Google Scholar or anything else with a bunch of search terms, and then you may or may not find, you may find too much stuff, you may not find enough. If you spend some time developing your search strategy, it'll make your efforts a little bit more productive. So the first thing, and by the way, on this page, there is a PDF called the Search Strategy Worksheet, which is an encapsulation basically of what's on the web page, but it gives you a little worksheet that you can print out and take with you. So going back here, the first thing you want to do is summarize your topic. If you're at the point where you're writing your thesis proposal, that could be the start of summarizing exactly what you're looking for. Once you do that, you'd go to step 2 and try to identify the concepts and translate them into the key words. For example, do you have a unique term that would quickly pull out those articles and books that have to do with that topic, like PTSD? Or do you have a specific phrase that you're looking for that is well known in your subject area, like global warming? That would help narrow your results so that you end up with only the things that have global warming, those 2 words in that order, spelled exactly that way. So that if you would get a more narrow focused set. If you had put in global warming without the quotation marks, you would get everything that had global and everything that had warming. Look for synonyms when you're translating into keywords. For example, education or training. Some author may have used the word training instead of education, and if you want it to be thoroughly comprehensive, you'd want to make sure that your synonyms were included. And the operator that's used for that is the word or in capital letters. Be aware of things that might have multiple meanings, like cloud or virus. A lot of times, sometimes things will come up in the biological context that you didn't mean it that way. You meant it in a more engineering context. So think about that. Word stemming. So Google tends to do basic word stemming for you automatically. It'll find lead and leads. It'll find the plurals of things. But when you go to the databases, they will allow you to really refine that search. And let's say you wanted to find everything leads, leader, leadership. If you put an asterisk, that's the usual symbol, you would find all those things, all those words. Just be aware about different spellings, the British spellings of things. For example, for defense, they use the letter C instead of the letter S. Terms to exclude. If you're finding a bunch of junk in your search results list, you can use this operator called not. And then also have jotted down some broader or narrower terms in case you get too few or too many. Like, for example, you could narrow by date, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, once you identify your key concepts and translate them into key terms. Then you can put them together into a search statement. And here is how you use those operators and or not. Most likely you would use or. You probably won't actually have to type in the word and, because nowadays it's assumed that you mean and when you put in search terms. Like when you search in Google, you don't type in the word and, you just type in your keywords and you're good to go. In the databases, you'll see that they have provided and in the drop downs. And so while you don't have to type it, you just can use the drop down menus to construct your statement. Not, probably won't use too often, but it does help to filter out the irrelevant results. This is what it looks like graphically when you use those operators. If you're looking for something that has both border and security, you're going to have a small subset of those results. Or you see how it expands to include both, as in the example I used for global warming. And then when you use not, how it excludes the term that you are not interested in. And then this is kind of like how it would look like when you, if you would write out your search string, so that when you go to a database, you're ready to go. The next thing is to identify the places to search, and we're going to go over each of these things today. Number 5, evaluate your results. That's pretty much for if you decide to go outside of library databases. You want to make sure that you evaluate your sources correctly. And here's a couple of links to outside sources that tell you to look at things like, is the information current? Is there a bias? Are they trying to sell you something? That kind of thing. But if you stick with library databases, all our the databases that we subscribe to, article and report databases and ebook databases, have been vetted. So they are, most all of them, peer reviewed in this subject area. So you really don't have to worry too much about evaluating your results. And then the final thing is to keep thorough notes about it. As you continue on your literature review for your thesis, I like to point out to students this concept about how you do your research process. The one is pro-growing. That's when you have a highly targeted, a highly on-topic article or book, and from there you want to grow your list of sources. You can do that by looking at the list of references, looking at the keywords that that particular article uses, and use that in subsequent searches. You can also use cited by links to see what authors have cited that article. And in essence, you are growing layers of Perl upon your single kernel article. The other approach is onion peeling, where you just say, give me everything, and you wind up with thousands and thousands of results, and you use things like filters to remove the irrelevant items, and you end up with a core list of references. The other approach that we don't recommend, if you take, or not if you take, if you go to the Graduate Writing Center and you view the recorded session on how to do a literature review, he's going to talk about this approach where you are tempted to only pick and cite articles and research that supports your thesis. So that is the temptation. But when you do a thorough literature review, you want to look at all the literature out there, and you want to see how your particular research will contribute to the domain. It may be that there's contradictory evidence out there and you want to know it. It may be there's research out there where you notice gaps in the methodology and your research would help fill that gap. So don't be tempted by cherry picking is all I have to say on that. Okay, any questions about search strategy before I move to the next thing? Okay, the next thing is where to search. And that's covered in these next 4 tabs here. So now I'm going to go back to the library's website. And we recommend starting with the library search. What it's searching is everything that the library has with the option of going out into a broader universe. Excuse me. It does cover what's in our databases, but on a very superficial level. So that's why we say this is a good place to start, but we certainly don't recommend that you end here. You're going to get a broad overview, and you're going to be able to see which databases might you pursue further to do more targeted and sophisticated searching. So I'm going to do a sample search here that I've done before. Okay, so I've gotten, for this exact phrase, space security, I've gotten over 17,000 results. And there's no way I'm going to go through all these page by page. Supposedly it does sort by default by relevance, but I want to do some of that onion peeling I was talking about earlier to get the results list into a more manageable size. So one thing that this library search does, it includes a bunch of newspaper articles by default, because we have databases that are newspaper databases, and all the articles are in there. So what you can do with these filters is you can either include or you can exclude. So I'm going to just exclude because my research doesn't involve that. And you can see at the top what filters are working, and I've excluded the newspapers. Okay. And I can also tell the system to show only scholarly articles or only the stuff that's available online. I have options to sort by material types, all different kinds of material types. So if I were to say I only wanted to see books ebooks, what would be my choices for filters to see ebooks? Any guesses?
You have to choose available online.
Available online, yes. And I wanted to get ebooks.
Would you also choose books?
Yes, I would choose books. And then I would apply those filters. And now I'm down to 93 results. Right. Another way you could filter is by the date. And here's how, we recommend that you filter by the date after you've done your original search. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the books filter in ebooks so that I can show some articles too. So let's say I only am interested in 2010. I'm going to click the refine. Now I'm down to 3,700 results. Still too many, but I would at this point look through maybe the first 3 pages of results to see if they're relevant. And then if there still is too much junk in my results, I think about applying some more of these filters. I would be careful about excluding some that you don't really know about, like text resources. The system calls it that. It's kind of a generic term, and you might exclude something that is really valuable. So be careful with your exclusions. I would feel fine with excluding reviews because I'm not interested in that. Okay. So we did the date, the other filters. The other filters that are helpful here is this one called collection. So it's going to display the collections that have the highest, in the order of the highest number of hits. So I can see here that ProQuest Central, or just ProQuest in general, is the highest with 2,000. It gives me a clue of which databases I should look at. So I should definitely look at ProQuest. Now, the way the system is set up, you're not going to find a database that says one file. So even though it's the second highest, you're going to have to ignore that. It's not a good clue. And then here's some others, Taylor and Francis and Informa. Okay. Any questions about the filters? Okay. Let's say that we find something that we like. I'm going to pick articles right now just to narrow down the list for the purpose of this demonstration. So I'm going to click on the record here. And you want to go to where it says Find Online. This is the link to the databases that will have the full text of the article. In this case, there are 2 choices. So if I click on the link, it's going to go out to Elsevier, and all things being good, working, I'm going to see somewhere on this page the ability to download the PDF. And I see it here, and you can download it here. That's how things are supposed to work in the system. Sometimes it doesn't, and if it doesn't take you to the full text and it says it should be there, go ahead and contact us through Ask a Librarian. This link is on the far corner. Let me go ahead and open it. Of just about every single library page, and you can reach us there. Okay, so other things that you can find on the record. Open this again. It's stuck. Refresh. This all-important Find Online link. These send to links are just things, sort of utilities that you can do. This permalink will save this unique link to this record. You can email it to yourself. I would caution you about using this particular citation function as being not highly reliable in terms of correctness. And then here's some other ways to export. And you can also print the record. But when you're doing things like pearl growing, you can look for, maybe this isn't a particularly good one, other things like subject headings, like here. So theoretically, if you were mostly interested in missile defense, if I clicked on that, it would take me to all the other items in the system that have that specific subject heading. Okay, go back. Other things you can do, and some of these records have, I'm going to pick scholarly articles again. As a way to ProGrow, they will have these little arrows that tell you other authors that have cited this article. So you're going to get newer sources by following the trail of this particular article. Okay. Oh yeah. So let's say whatever search results we got originally, 17,000 or whatever, they really weren't on topic, and I want to see what else is out there. If you use this include items my library doesn't have, but that I can request checkbox, that's going to go out into a larger electronic resource universe and tell us articles that, in addition to what we also have, tell us what else is out there that we could request, because we share our resources with libraries all over the place. Now, it'll look like this. So you'll see this how to get it link. And I'm prompted by this yellow banner that's asking me to log in. Whenever you see that, go ahead and do it. It'll look like this. So I'm going to click the NPS students one. It's going to take me to the, oh, I'm sorry. It should have taken me to the CAS, but since I'm already logged in elsewhere, I'm already in. So now you'll see under how to get it, the request article or book. Something that's, and you'll notice the nice thing about requesting articles when you are in the library search is it pre-populates most of the, all of the required fields for you. So you just check that the title of the journal is right, the title of the article is right, and then you can submit the request. If you haven't yet created an account, you'll be prompted to register, which is just your name, email, curriculum, basically, super simple. And then you can submit the request and do that. Now, in this COVID-19 environment that we're in, the service, part of the service that we're not offering is print items being delivered because libraries are closed and print items have to be shipped. So articles you can generally get. Print items, if you just needed maybe a chapter or two, you could go ahead and submit the request anyway and see, we could see if the other library would be willing to scan and send electronically that chapter to you. When an item is received, you're going to get an email that says come here and check your requests, and you would go to view and electronically received articles. And I don't have anything here, but there would be an option to download. You'd have 30 days to download your article. And you can do whatever you want with that PDF. This is a free service for all students. We expect that you use it to support your research here. So don't be shy about using that service. Any questions about interlibrary loan? Okie dokie. Moving on. Course reserves. Okay. So some of your professors may have put readings on course reserves as a courtesy if you're waiting for your books to come in, or just because. So check with them to see if there are things on course reserve here. And they should have, wait a minute, let me think here. They should have put it in your Sakai site. That's right. For physical items, if they have things on Course Reserve, it should be in your classroom website. Okay, also while we're in here, I can show you your library account is in the library search. So if you go in here, you can see what you have checked out. And you can also renew things if you need to do that here. This one's not renewable, but you can do that on your own. Also, something you can do is you can pin things to your favorites and you can save searches. So that's another reason why you would want to log in. So if I wanted this book, Chapters Space Security, saved, I would use this little pin here and I'd add it to my saved items. So then when I go into them, my favorites, it would be here. And these would all stay here until you left NPS. And you can also save searches that you want. Okay, now, next thing. Where else to look? So the other place we want to look is in the databases. And I mentioned earlier that the library search is great for broad search and a place to start, but it's not necessarily searching deeply because it's only searching things like the title, maybe the abstract, maybe the table of contents, the author, things like that. But when you go to a database, you are actually searching the full text of the articles. Okay, I'm going to show you, so how do you know which database to choose? Because we have over 300 databases to choose from. Oh, and also, just a note, not all the databases are in the library search, so you wouldn't be able to find stuff, for example, from Jane's in the library search. And you may not be finding the most recent content because it takes a little while to get things indexed in there. So once you have an idea about which databases to go to, definitely start searching there. Okay, so what we recommend is if you want to know which databases to look at, go back to the research guides and find a guide that will tell you which ones to search. For example, for ECE, Glenn has a guide here, and under articles, here are the recommended article databases that you want to go to. You're going to have to search these one by one to find content. If you're in the business, not business school, School of Defense Management, you could look here and there is a business management and economics guide. And under the articles tab, here are the top choices and here are more choices for article databases. So what is a database? Let me step back a second. It's not a piece of software that has a bunch of data in it in the sense that we normally think about. It is an article database that indexes the words in an article and allows you to search across millions of articles at once with a single search. So it's an incredibly powerful tool to take advantage of. Okay, so you go to your research guides and first see where to search. And I'm going to show you now a couple of very, very common ones that you probably search anyway. So I'm going to go to the databases list link here. And we're going to look in this one called ProQuest. How are we doing on time? Okay, 12:30. This is actually an aggregator. It has 25 databases. It's not just one. So you have the advantage of searching across an incredible landscape of literature here. I'll do the same search. Just let everything go to the default because you can use your filters here. It's very similar to the library search because it comes from the same company. So you're going to see filters on the left here. You can filter by source type. You can filter by, and you can include and exclude by date range. You know, if you want from 2010 to current, you can do that here. There's a subject filter. All those great filters. Just a note, if you only select peer reviewed, you might exclude some excellent material like technical reports that aren't necessarily peer reviewed. So be careful, just like in the library search, about what you exclude. Okay. When you see full text, that means I can go in this one and I will see the full text. It's either going to say full text or it'll say full text PDF, as in this one here. And each of these databases is a little bit different as far as the record is concerned. So you have to hunt around, where is that PDF? Well, here's the download for the PDF. Here's the one as a tab. So you'll just have to look around to see where the full text is. If you see this button called Get It at NPS, that means the full text isn't here in ProQuest, but you could see if the library has it in another database. So it's going to go back to the library search. It's going to see if it can find it in another database. And in this case, it says, yeah, it's supposed to be in this one called EBSCO. And it should be available as a PDF, which in this case, we're lucky, and there it is, and we can get the PDF. Again, like in the library search, look for things like, let's see if I can, are there subject terms that I didn't think of? You can click on these and it'll take you to other articles that have that subject term. In the article itself, you can look for the list of references. I'm trying to find it here. Doesn't have it. But here's some other author identified keywords that might be helpful to you. And then sometimes, let's see if we can find one that has a nice list of related articles. Let's see, maybe this one. Related items, yeah. Scour the page to see if you can find ways to grow your Perl, to find more relevant items on your topic. Okay, any questions about ProQuest? Okay, let's go to DTIC. Defense Technical Information Center is the sort of clearinghouse for all DoD research that has been funded by the federal government. All research is supposed to get eventually deposited here. Not all agencies do it, but it's a good place to look for things that have a DoD military focus. So this is the public. Let me go back here. There are two flavors of it. There's the publicly accessible DTIC, and there is the DTIC R&E Gateway. Let me show you the DTIC Public and DTIC R&E Gateway, which is access controlled. It has restricted documents. So if you are a US citizen, you can search here. It's going to include both the public and the restricted content. For foreign nationals, you can look in just DTIC. And you can conduct your search for technical reports right in this upper box here. The thing about DTIC Public is there are no filters really, so the search experience is poor. So if you don't mind, it's supposed to be sorting by relevance, and so you can just look through some of these, but you notice like I can't even tell on the second item what the date is for it, second and third items. So it's a little bit rough. If you want to have a little bit better search experience, if you go to the databases page, you'll see this National Technical Reports Library. It's supposed to have everything that DTIC has in it, and you can use that to search instead of DTIC. And for the more recent things, it's going to have the PDF there. If it doesn't, you can find out, you can find out what the number is, this ADA number is, and then you can go back and put that into the DTIC to try and get the item. Okay. By the way, eventually your theses will go into DTIC because you are a federal employee right now. So eventually you can find your work here. Okay. Any questions about DTIC? I'm just going to point out, this database here called Web of Science. Oops. I'm not going to go into it, but I just want to tell you that it's sort of like an aggregator, but it only has citations and abstracts in it. So if you find something here, then you're going to have to do a search. You can click that, get it at NPS to see if we have it in another database, but it's also a very powerful tool to search across literature that has been peer reviewed. It's not like Google Scholar in that anything that says it's a vetted resource gets to be indexed in Google Scholar. I mean, they have people who vet the content and make sure that only high quality, highly authoritative works are in the Web of Science. So if you're in a science field especially, I would include Web of Science in your list to search. Okay, moving on. We want to look at, I'm sure you all use Google anyway, so I'm going to show you how to use Google Scholar. It's the same algorithm as Google uses, except for they weed out the things like .com. So here, supposedly, it's only scholarly literature that gets to make the cut in this subset of Google. So I did that search and I got 10,000 results. You have a few filters to work with, including date, and if you want to include or exclude patents, but that's about it here. But it will pick up some things if you're doing a comprehensive search that you may not get in the other processes, research processes. So we like to recommend it in conjunction with searching library databases. One thing you can do here is you can see if the library has the full text of the article by a setting in Google Scholar. And you would do this with every browser that you had, and you'd make sure that your cookies were enabled by going into the settings. And if you don't remember this, it's on the guide, so don't worry about that. And then going to library links. And right now I'm at home. So I am not on the VPN, I'm not on the network. So I have to do this setting in order to see if it, in order for it to take me into the, to see if the library has it, sorry. Okay, and I'm just gonna type in Naval Postgraduate School and do a search. And here it is, Dudley Knox Library, get it at NPS. I'm gonna check mark it and I'm gonna click save. Now, with that same search, I'm going to see this link over on the side that tells me, oh yeah, the library has that one. So I'm going to, if I clicked at this now, it should take me to that article. And here's the ability to download the PDF right here. Okay, this one too, if I click that, I'm looking for ones that say coming to you from Dudley Knox Library. I don't see it. But rest assured, we are authorized in to get the content. Okay. Just a note about Google Scholar. I would love to be able to trust it 100%, but these past few years, there have been predatory journals that are getting their content listed in Google Scholar. So what you can do, let me see if I can show you. We have this little widget thing on the guide. You can search from here and it'll take you right out to Google Scholar, but it also has this little link here, excuse me, that takes you to Cabell's whitelist and blacklist. And this service tells you which are the predatory journals. So you could go to the blacklist. If there's something that, if there's a journal that you kind of questioned, you can go there and do a search for the title and see if it is on Cabell's. Okay. Okay. Questions on Google Scholar? Oh, the other thing was Microsoft Academic has been coming up in the other search engine world as far as scholarly literature is concerned. One thing I noticed here though is it doesn't seem to like quotation marks. Like I tried my space security search here. Oh, I take that back. I must have done a typo or something. But depending on the topic, I have heard in library conferences that you could get better results in Microsoft Academic. So I would combine both searching Google Scholar and Microsoft Academic together. All right. Other places. So you'll want to search NPS theses to see what what previous scholars have done in your particular field. How do you do that? Now this is only for searching NPS scholarly work. So there's a link called NPS theses here, and you can click that. It's 12:48 and we're getting to the end. There's a public collection and there's a restricted collection. US citizens can search the public. It's a database just pretty much similar to all the others. You can put in your search results here and see what other people have done in your particular area. Oops, I didn't do that right. Hopefully it's still within the view window. And then click the little gear to change how you want things to be sorted. There is a way on the guide, it tells you how to find the outstanding thesis. I won't go into that here because I'm running out of time. Okay, NGS theses. Just a quick show of the library's website for other things, other tools that you might need. Here's that Ask a Librarian. Take advantage of that. We monitor the chat and the email 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. We're real responsive on that. There is the databases list, the thesis research guides, how to cite. This is the guide for telling you what is the correct format, what style do I need for my particular area. The Defense Management School uses APA. ECE uses IEEE, for example. And there's tools to help you with citing in your thesis. Other helpful links. Here's that request article or book in case you find something out on Google Scholar. You would go here and then you can hand populate whatever request you have. So new request article, and you can start typing in what you want. All right, that's about it. We have the help tab here with links to both the Thesis Processing Office and the Graduate Writing Center, as well as the Ask a Librarian. And if you want a deeper consult with a subject librarian, if you click this link, it'll tell you which of us are serving your particular area. All right, it's 12:51, I'm a little over. Are there any questions?
No, so far, thank you.
Okay. All right, you can leave at any time. I'm going to stop the recording. This recording will be posted eventually on the Graduate Writing Center.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.